let's talk a little bit about ARM, right? And then we can kind of walk through how you're using ARM to improve vendor risk management, right? So from my perspective, right, ARM is an expert system that we've created. And what we've done is it has a predefined library of vulnerabilities and threats. And ARM is able to accurately quantify, the likelihood and impact of every one of those threats in the threat library, acting on every vulnerability in the vulnerability library for every data type that you process. So it literally calculates every potential risk in your universe. So what you'll do is you'll explain what information, so for the ARM portion, you explain what types of information you have, what the impact would be, in a numeric way of, or low, medium, high way to your organization if that data was compromised, you know, um, and what it will do is calculate the inherent risk for each of those scenarios. So you looked at this and said, well, this is great. How do I properly contextualize that? And so the first thing that you did was you started thinking about how different vendor types vary that risk, correct? So
Yeah.
talk about how that worked out, what types of vendors you were looking at, and some examples of how the risk differs between different types of vendors with different levels of access to different levels of data, different types of data.
Yeah. So each vendor obviously poses a different level of risk to the organization. We take a look at a SaaS vendor that has a persistent connection to to our environment. Obviously they're going to pose a certain level of risk, which may be quite high in that case, versus the shoe shiner or the let's say janitor or something like that, who is just coming in to kind of vacuum the building or mop the floors and things like that. They don't have network connection or anything like that. You take a look at those different types. You also take a look at the obviously the data elements that are involved. That janitor likely won't have any access to any sort of confidential information as long as the the organization has a clean desk policy in place, obviously.
Or good physical security controls where the person's being escorted or physically restricted through access cards or something of that nature, right?
Yep. And so I think what we've done, as it relates to third-party risk management, with this ARM solution is, we've been able to sort of right size the questionnaires. Obviously, these sort of janitorial or vendors with physical but don't have any sort of access to data need a certain type of questionnaire, and then these SaaS or infrastructure as a service providers, they're going to need a different type of questionnaire, obviously, that focuses on a different set of controls.
Right. So in short, what you're saying is that you've developed, call them profiles, if you will, for different types of vendors, and then determined what type of risk each of those pose based on their method of access, the type of data they have access to, the model by which they engage with you. Is that kind of what you did?
Yeah. So there's a couple of different profiles which we've added there. Depending upon the type of vendor, you've got kind of your SaaS vendors, your PaaS, your infrastructure as a service. You've got your let's say you've got like a managed service providers, consultants, so on and so forth. And obviously depending upon the nature of the engagement, the nature of the data elements they have access to, what they're handling, that poses a different level of risk. And based on all of these elements, the ARM solution is designed to create a questionnaire that is just the right size